I studied comparative religions in my first degree, which is more like philosophy of religions. I studied that in my first degree. I studied that in my first master's also. Yeah, so but agriculture was more of a passion from the very start. Of course, after school, I ventured into it. I also do a lot of writing, so I started more with agricultural journalism, and this is one key thing people need to know. You may have the big vision from the very start, but you need to find a way to get that vision moving, without, from in a little way, So if we look at great people in history that we celebrate today, how they started, some of them, it doesn't even look like it, it doesn't look like where they are today, but you have to find a way to start. So at that time, I didn't have money to set up factories, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but I could pick up my phone, my laptop then, and write a lot of things about agriculture and research. So I was writing about agribusiness, how it employed people in the 70s, in the 60s, how it built universities, TV stations like NTA Badon, and etc. How Cocoa House and other major infrastructure in Nigeria was built using agricultural fund, So, and it was gaining tractions, people were reading online. I was lucky to be published in some dailies like Punch, Tribune, Sahara Reporters then, So, and people were reading, NGOs, foreign NGOs were reading, and then I would often receive emails from them and say, oh, we read about your article. Can you speak more to us about youth employment in Nigeria in relation to agriculture, blah, blah, blah. I remember 2012, I was even invited to speak on Al Jazeera on youth employment in Nigeria, So basically because of what they saw me wrote online, about agriculture creating jobs. So usually I always encourage people, you may have the big vision. I see a lot of young people, they come with proposals of 50 million, 100 million naira to start an agribusiness. And I'm like, you have not even built the capacity, to manage such funds. Where are you starting from? Can you start from somewhere and we'll see how it goes? You see what I'm saying? So I think it's very important that as young people, we need to understand that there's a starting point for everything. You see what I'm saying? You need to start from somewhere and see how it turns out. You move from one to another. Yeah. So I think that, did you miss me?
Yes, we lost you for some seconds. You stopped. We lost you at when you were talking about people requesting for billions of naira to start a business.
Yeah. So a lot of times I see people come and with proposals and they say they want to start it. For example, we have the Green Agribusiness Fund where we support young people. Sometimes I see proposals that they submit and I just burst into laughter. When I see such proposals, someone requesting for, we had a case of a guy who was requesting for $100,000 to start agribusiness trainings, capacity building for youth. And I'm asking myself, so I sat with him and I asked him, I said, okay, how much do you expect to generate in the next in 1 year? You have $100,000. How much do you see? So he told me he's targeting to employ to train XYZ number of youth at $150 per training. The training is going to last 3 months. And I'm like, how many you do you want to train at $150 to get 100,000? So a lot of young people have this big vision, which is really good. I must say it's good to have big vision, but you must also learn to start very small. Grow capacity. So for example, I look back in 2012 when I was writing, 2011 when I was writing, putting all stuff in the news. I mean, if I had 100 million in 2012, I would squander it. You see, because I didn't have the capacity to manage such funds. I had the big dreams, but the capacity was not there to manage it. So how, if I have 100 million, it's going to be a waste, really. Yeah, at that time, I'll probably just waste it. Of course, wasting, I don't mean that I would go enjoy myself or clubbing with it, but it means that I don't have the experience, to manage such funds. So I will set up the project and the project will fail woefully. So I think it's really important for young people to start small, invest in capacity, and see how things turn out gradually.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. I really align with the fact that I think nowadays prospective entrepreneurs do not understand what it means to start small. Everybody wants to start a business looking for thousands of dollars, thousands of pounds, and then they've forgotten that sometimes the best businesses start with your saved monthly allowances. The best businesses start with your savings over a long period of time, because nobody is going to invest in your business if you don't even see some skin in the game from your own end. Now, you mentioned that if you had 100 million naira in 2012, you most likely would not have spent the money clubbing, but you most like the money wouldn't have yielded the kind of returns that you wanted because of the skills that were not available then. So for someone who at this point, or who is listening to you, who has gotten clarity of vision, who has gotten clarity of value proposition, how do they get the capacity? What do they need to do to be able to get the capacity to be able to say, now I can combine value proposition clarity, and then I have this acquired. So how do they build capacity? What are the skills that they need to be able to start?
Yeah, so building capacity comes by experience anyway, so I would use the experience of a child, of a baby. When you have a child who wants to walk, a child does not walk by sitting down. you practice. The child practices. He gets up this week, is falling down, gets up again, falls down, then gets up at some point, is able to hold the table and then move gradually to the point that he's able to move by himself, and then to the point that he's running, the feet is stable, etc. So you can only build capacity by practicing, so, and that's why I encourage young people, get internship opportunities, go and learn from people, get mentorship, go get people to mentor you, also start on a small scale. There's what we call pilot in agriculture. So pilot whatever you want to do. You see what I'm saying? If you want to own a Gary factory, I know a lot of people who have squandered money in agriculture. By privilege of my work, I speak with a lot of people. Some of them have high liquidity. And agriculture is a very humbling business. It's a business where you can throw away money and then, so easily. And then you'll be asking yourself, like, did I squander this money? Of course, no, you didn't squander it. It's just gone and you can never recover it. I had a case of a friend who wanted to do cocoa farming. He wanted to export cocoa out of the country, and invested. This was around maybe 2016. He invested over 50 million. And at some point he told me to go and check the cocoa farm for him, and I realized that, well, they had just scammed him. There was no cocoa farm anywhere. So I asked him, I said, what exactly are you trying to do? And he told me, oh, he wants to export cocoa out of the country. Man, do you need to really plant cocoa before you can export cocoa out of the country? You don't need to. You just need to find cocoa farmers and buy from them. At least that can be your starting point. That's what we call a pilot. So you can just buy from cocoa farmers and then you put it in a container, send it to wherever you are sending it to. So it's very important to pilot. You see people come with proposals and they tell me they want to start a rice factory and they want to be producing 10 tons of rice. And I tell them, why not just go and get existing rice factory, have a private labeling agreement with them. Use that to build your market. Some of us have read about Dangote being a cement trader in the past. You see what I'm saying? From a cement trader to a cement factory owner. You see what so we need to really learn how to pilot. I tell people, pilot what you want to do. The fact that you have access to 10 million naira doesn't mean you must invest 10 million naira in that project. It's easy to fail with 500,000 than fail with 10 million naira. You see, so when you fail with 500,000, you can rebound and then, keep going. So you get all these things by experience. You have to start practicing. So for everyone who wants to build capacity, start practicing. You learn most of these things by going on the field, learning on the field, going on the field. Yeah. So I think that will be it for me.
Wow. So two things that you've highlighted are very important. One, internships, as putting yourself in the industry, because you understand that what you think the industry is, or what you understand that the industry is doing presently is different when you eventually work in that industry and be able, and then have the real life experience. Two, like you mentioned, is starting small, which we all know is a problem of this generation. It's difficult. Everybody wants to start with $100 million. Everybody wants to go straight to YC. Everybody wants to go straight to pitching from VCs and PEs. No, sometimes start with 100,000. Start with two people, and then from there learn, infuse learning back into the business, and then keep going. Now, so I'm trying to make this a journey. So now we've clarified the need for a vision. We've clarified the need for a value proposition. We've gone to the place of, okay, you either learn via internships, or if you're lucky to have capital, don't spend everything. Use part of it, or just be an intermediary for a while to understand the whole business landscape. So the next thing is, after doing this, do entrepreneurs need to reinvent the wheel? Are there parts of the value chain in agriculture that nobody is looking at? or even the existing ones, we're not even doing it well. So how does one make entry? Do you want to go and look for a partner nobody is doing anything in, or do you want to do better into what everybody's doing? What would your advice be in picking the point to get into the agricultural business value chain?
Okay, I lost you a bit.
Where do you want me to reiterate from?
Talking about a part of the value chain reinvent.
Yes. Okay. So my question is, there's clarity of vision now. Skills have been honed via internships or experiences. How does one interact with the agricultural value chain? Must everybody decide to start something new, create a technology that can talk to Gary when they're being produced, or create technology that can help farmers to raise 3 billion in 2 seconds? Or do we need to go into the part of, are there parts of the value chain that are not being exploited enough that we can go in and do better? Which is preferable, and how does one decide which part of the value chain to exploit or to come in from?
Good question. So, understand your area of strength. Generally, there's no is new, you know. Only be an improvement. There's not business, you know. Gary beans is being produced for new approaches can change. Nowadays, people bring a new approach. Now, get kuli on the street. Find kuli that package in, you know, that's what advise young people to understand what area of capacity, you know. Is that you play in your area of strength. In the wheel in quote in agriculture, because and agriculture is like a daily need. People have to eat every morning. They break by eating. It's what you do as long as you're alive. These are always there. You see what I'm saying? So it's also understanding some business tech on agriculture, more like an intervention business, and business principles are don't run it as a business. So I see a lot of people doing agriculture, and that's what we see around us. And we have to approach it as a business. Every other business, you see what I succeed in it. So I would say how to leverage your area of a particular point of the value chain, because agribusiness value chain, so you can't do everything. You just need to take it off from there.
Okay, so you mentioned how large or how okay. Can you still hear me?
Can hear you clearly though.
Okay. So you mentioned how large the agricultural value chain is. So for someone who is listening, are there parts of that value chain, are there components of that value chain that you think have been either underutilized or they've not even been exploited at all? Are there examples of parts of the value chain that you can share with us, and the opportunities that are inherent in those components of the value chain?
Yeah. So said there's nothing new in agriculture that I see that is really access market connectivity in African countries like ours. Nice, you know. how do you access market? And so it's quite complex to come up with like an innovative solution. Really important, because I know that in Africa and in Nigeria in particular, the things are now changing. You see what I'm saying? All quality people want, these are things that are changing. So I think we really need innovations around market innovation, access to market. Yeah, so if you look at cosmopolitan cities like Lagos, people don't necessarily want to go to a market to buy whatever they want to go to. Why do I need to go to my 12, and face all the traffic to get whatever I want to get in my 12 before coming, how can we begin to link markets, So I think anything around market innovation will really be a big thing in agriculture. How can you connect the factories without these middlemen hassles, all around the place? So I think that will really be a game changer. I know that some couple of young people have tried it in the past. I'm not sure how it went rather, but I think something around because personally I look at it like it's an headache to really organize the market. The market is not organized, particularly in Lagos. How do you get from point A? For me, for example, now, if I can have things at home, why do I want to go out? You see what I'm saying? But the problem is that you are ordering from this platform and then the food gets to you, one meat is missing from the food. So you're getting from that, and then you get it.
Are you trying to shade our dispatch riders? No. I'm here to defend them.
Yeah, so you buy from a particular, maybe you order for salad, the salad comes and then you realize that it's stale, it's spoiled, So I think
they give you not salad.
So I think these are challenges, and that's why people end up going to buy things themselves to see. But I think any solution that is reorganizing the market will really go a long way. I mean, I have colleagues in the industry who also feel the same way anyway. So I think solutions around market innovation, particularly in a cosmopolitan city like Lagos, where people have extremely busy life, and they really want to get things done at the comfort of their homes, or their offices without necessarily have to go around, Yeah, okay. So I think something around that.
Just to help expand that point. Now, market innovation, connecting consumers to the point of production, or at least very early in the value chain. But there is this. So I'm looking at this from a consumer point of view. Do you agree that with innovation in the market, it also affects affordability in a way? So the cost of packaging is going to, before you know it, 100 naira gari has now become 250 because you are in the comfort of your home. Isn't that against the concept of affordability in the first place? Or are we doing it wrong for that exorbitant cost at the consumer's end?
So I think it depends on how you look at it. So from the example you have given, because of the comfort of my home, 100 naira gari has become 200. But if I have to go to my 12 from my home to go and get the gari, I won't fly. You see, I would either take Danfo, or I would take Keke Napep, or I'm going to drive myself, and this comes at a cost. You see what I'm so, and also my time. You see the time of me traveling to there, the risk of life, blah blah blah. So I think it depends on how you look at it. So the concept of affordability, it's important, but also I think it's cheaper. It's generally cheaper for you to order. If the quality will be delivered compared to you driving out and paying extra 500 or 1,000 for delivery, compared to the time. I mean, you can't leave your house in Ikeja to go to my 12 and you use 10 liters fuel. You use more than that. You see what I'm saying? So, and if you're even going to take public transport, you're probably going to spend like 3-4K going around the market after buying. You have all this alabaru that will help you carry and all that, So at the end of the day, you realize you have burn out your time, you have burn out money. And so, so I think the concept of affordability, but it depends on how you look at it, really. But I know that there's a growing demand, usually I've it's a sector I operate. I know that the biggest challenge in Lagos is access to market. You see what I'm saying? People don't really want to go out to market. How can they go? But the challenge is, if I'm ordering ugu from the market, or I'm ordering cabbage, how am I sure that I'm getting quality? You know, I order cabbage for the first time and then I get a cabbage is half spoiled. You know, I get ugu from the market and then it's half spoiled, or the seller has already done some magic and has reduced the quantity. You see what I'm saying? So how do we ensure that that system is available? You know, so we also look at distribution, like meat distribution in Lagos, for example. You know, you can't get fresh meat in the market on daily basis until around 11, 12 p.m., 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. So it means that if you really go to a restaurant to have breakfast, you know, and you eat meat, you're eating meat from yesterday, you know, because the vans are getting there like 12. So how do we enhance the supply chain, you know, in a cosmopolitan city like Lagos? You know, can we now start looking at coaching bikes to deliver meat, you know, because of early morning traffic so that meat get to the market early? So there are a lot of things, opportunities around market access in Lagos. You see what I'm saying? So, and I think that when we have innovations around reorganizing the supply chain, it really go a long way. And I think entrepreneurs in agribusiness can look at all this market opportunity. You may not necessarily have to start big, like Lagos wide. You may segment. You can start from your area. You see what I'm saying? There's a young man I know that was doing chicken trading at some point, you know, and it was really partnering with estates. Like, I think it started around Ikeja. It was partnering with estates. It would go to the estates, appoint like a distributor in the estate, and then it will stock in the distributor's freezer at a discounted price. And then the distributor is able to announce in their estate platform that there's chicken, you know. So instead of you driving out and say, I'm driving to to ICM, I'm driving here to go and buy chicken in Ikeja. Within your estate, you can just order, flat something or block something. Can I get 2 kg of chicken? Yeah, you just walk down or drive down, depending on how big your estate is. You pick it up and then you come back home. You know, so that's like reorganizing the entire supply chain. So, you know, how can we bring the market closer to people? That's the point in Lagos. How can we bring it closer to people? People want chicken. Do they need to go to the supermarket to get chicken? You see what I'm saying? How can we bring it to their neighborhood? You know, and Lagos is well organized in estates. So how can we organize estates? And whole estate, for example, my own estate, we have WhatsApp platform where every resident is. So if you want to post anything, you can put it there, you can advertise, and then, you know, so I think these are innovation. You can segment, start from an estate or start from 2 estates and see how things really come up.
So interesting, like you mentioned, the Lagos can be very busy, and sometimes we all want things at the comfort of our homes, and somebody clearly has to provide them. So now, so you've gotten to this point. Now we know what business to go into. We are on our way into this part of the value chain. I asked the question in the beginning. I said, how often do you check your blood pressure? Because I understand the risk associated with any part of the agri value chain. My wife is a farmer, and I can recount days where we cry in the bedroom because we don't understand how day-old chicks just started doing next somehow, and before you know, they are dead. And I'm wondering how on earth I left them eating about 2-3 hours ago. Which then goes to my next question. For agripreneurs listening, how do you manage the enormous risk of agribusiness, especially if you're just starting out?
Yeah, so there's no clear path because it's also the value chain is complex. You know, chicken is one thing that you have given an example now. How you manage the risk in chicken, how you manage the risk in coffee is different from how you manage. So I think it depends on where value chain where you're playing. You know, livestock like chicken, catfish, yeah. You know, very, very high. So basically, I always pilot, do it small. You see what I'm saying? Start it small. People tell you, oh, I want to start a poultry. I want to start with 5,000. You know, if you fail with 50 birds, it's easier. Some birds, you see. So I would always tell people, I would say the easier way to manage some of this low. Insurance is another factor. Have very comprehensive insurance related to that. There's been improvement in insurance in agri value chain, but also doesn't cover or catfish, for example. For factories, for factory operators like us, they are comprehensive insurance. I'm saying so, but other in primary production flood around your cassava farm, what do? Is insurance going to die? Insurance, are they going to pay you back? But of course, let's see how things go over the next couple of years around insurance. But insurance is another way. At least I know for factory operators, you have insurance against fire, blah, 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 which are comprehensive, and can really, really, really help you mitigate against losses, Yeah, so I think those are two key things to look at. But more importantly, let them start little. You see what I'm saying? Start little and invest in knowledge. You see what I'm saying? You see a lot of young people go into this thing without knowledge. Business, and then they say, there's money there. And then you ask them also sometimes that, where's your market? You say, no, people eat now. People eat. People eat is not a market.
I want to conquer the whole of Africa. We are in Africa, no continent.
I hear people say, people eat. I mean, people eat. You understand what I'm saying? They were eating before you started your agribusiness. It's just like, who don't speak Yoruba. The Yoruba proverb that says that koto, before you started your agribusiness, were people not eating? So what makes you feel that when you start your anywhere other than the one you created? I always tell people, so if you're, what were they eating before you started yours? What makes you feel that is yours they will eat? So you have to go. For example, now we are aggressive with marketing. No chance. Meet people, you pitch your idea, you follow up with them, you push your product. If they tell you they don't want it, you see what I'm saying? You need to be very aggressive. So look at young people need to look at start small. It at a little pace than for you to become big and then you start to struggle with
Now, thank you very much. I understand that one cannot completely de-risk the agricultural business and the various value chain. All you can do is to manage the risk, and also the risk are customized to the aspect of the value chain that you are operating in. How to manage risk in livestock, how to manage risk in crop production, how to manage the risk in logistics. For example, nobody teaches you how to manage the risk when your staff starts stealing your egg as a poultry farmer, or when they start stealing your feed. No, I don't think any business school teaches that until you get in there and start dealing with it. So also, now we've talked about de-risking. The day-to-day business of the agricultural value chain. Are there things that they don't teach you about running an agribusiness day-to-day? We say this thing, for example, we say these things where we say nobody tells you this things until you see it. But now let us hear from you. Are there things that you saw and like, no, if only you had told me all of these things? And then people also don't know about how to run your agribusiness on a day-to-day basis. What are the things that would shock most people when they start?
Yeah. That shocks me or used to shock me. What used to shock me until recently is human capital. Yeah, because at some point I feel like, how did we get here? Like, what are we actually doing? How do we go from here? Because you wake up one morning and then you receive a message from one of the staff. And in our own case, people who are like semi-illiterate. People who are cashiers. So they just send you a message, a message that she's not resuming at the coffee shop the following morning. Because there's a shortage of staff. So that beats my imagination. Like coming, you have people who just tell you, I'm not doing this anymore. You have people who just send a message to you. Like this morning before I joined this session, one of the shops doing the shift in the afternoon, I sent me a message and said that she's going to get to the shop late, that she's taking her sister to the hospital. How do you manage that? It's not my joy that the sister is sick, but this also, you expect a full salary at the end of the month. And you are just sending it this morning that your sister is sick, you have to take her to the hospital, you're going to get to. So I think human capital is a big issue for. It's like something entrepreneurs need to watch out for. Yeah, you can have a very brilliant idea, good approach, good market. Your vision will be crippled. You see, so it's something we battle. I've sat with a couple of my mentors. Now we're employing pool. So we employ more than a cost on the business. So you always have like extras. Because I'm become so used to it now. I've become so used. Okay, the next person join the team. It comes at a cost because you train and then you it's better than you shutting down business because people are leaving. So I think human capital for me is like the shocker. Other things are also centered around human capital. We had cases where we moved Gary from factory and then the trailer driver, and he was looking for money to repair it anyway. So he came and we picked the. These are also human capital issue, For me, the biggest challenge is around human capital. Just like a loan, maybe in a small scale within your environment is. In the case of JR Farms, for example, now there's a multinational agribusiness. You have factories running, you have coffee shops running. You can't do all this by. That's like the biggest challenge to watch out for.
I also, you also occurred to me that two things would cause hypertension for an agribusiness entrepreneur. One is the business itself, and two is your staff. Sometimes the business itself is going well, but the staff are just giving you unnecessary headache. So we used to buy chicken from a woman that does this meat sharing and the likes. And then we called her one and she said she was on her way to Oyo State. And I'm like, for what? She said a friend of ours was a poultry farm, just got day-old chicks about a week ago. And someone just called her in the neighborhood that there is no staff in her farm presently. So those people left about 1,000 day-old chicks in that place, 1 week old, and they said they're not coming to her, and they didn't even inform her. It was people in the environment that said, auntie, nobody's in your farm. Did they go on leave? And she was shocked. And I'm like, and this is someone that's not even in the country. She was in the US. So she could not even vex and fly to Oyo State. And I'm like, wow. So and interestingly, we are not dealing with unemployment. And then we have human capital issues. It's interesting how we're going to marry together. We're trying to create jobs, and then people that have jobs are giving you headaches. Well, hopefully one day we'll
solve. I think the challenge is that we are only looking at the unemployment. A long time ago, I think as far back as 2012, when I was speaking on Al Jazeera, my position about Nigeria is not. We don't have. Yeah, the unemployment crisis is there, which we don't talk about. You see what I'm saying? There's unemployment, which people don't have job, but there's also unemployability. You see what I'm saying? The unemployability is very critical, and we don't talk about it. So you have people who don't have the right mindset to work, who don't have the right approach to work, the right soft skills to work. Hard skills are common to get by. You can train for hard skills. Now you get this chunk of people who on Instagram who's putting bling on his neck and then flashing some cars and some ladies, and that's the lifestyle they are thinking in their head. So when you tell them come and work in the coffee shop and get 50,000 and then per month, and what they are thinking in their head is, how can I be getting 50,000 when an artist is on YouTube?
Exactly. How many years am I going to buy Benz if I'm going to do this?
Yeah, you see what I'm saying. So I think it's a major crisis that we are facing, and I see that with almost all organizations, my friends in business, and getting people to work with is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult.
Okay, so let's progress. So now you've understood the issue with the human capital crisis. You've also piloted, so you're starting small, you're getting a hang of it. But then it gets to a point even after pilot that you then need to scale. You then need to get investment because now you've learned the rudiments of the business. Now you're ready to take on much bigger risk. How does one raise funds for an agribusiness? Where are the investment opportunities? Where is capital sitting that agripreneurs can tap from?
Okay, good. For me, I only understand two approach, at least for now, which is either you get a loan or you take an equity. And that is what we're taught in the business school. I know that there are a lot of stuff going around the country. Some of them have collapsed, all this crowdfunding platform. We have never done it. It was never part of our agenda. Even in the heat of crowdfunding, some people are sending message, oh, GR farms, you don't know how to do it. People are doing it and they are paying back. I said, no, you can't do agribusiness by crowdfunding. If you can do agribusiness by crowdfunding, the likes of Olam, the likes of Nestle, they will be doing crowdfunding now. So my belief is that is either you go and take a loan or you go for equity. So your equity, you can part ways with some shares with your families or friends, people who believe in you at the early stage. And then as you grow, you can now begin to look at institutional investors who are able to put in equity or institutional loans, go to organizations who can give you loan, That is the only way I know that people can run. And that is the way we have run GR farms. You see what I'm saying? We take loans, we have loan exposure with banks, with Nigerian banks. You see what I'm saying? So if you cannot take loan, then why are you running the business? If it's really profitable or you believe in it, I don't believe in crowdfunding. I never believed in it. I see a lot of people do it, but it's not agribusiness, and we have seen all these platforms, not even one has remained. All of them have collapsed, you can't do agriculture promising someone ROI of, you get in the morning sometimes, the driver is taking snacks to the coffee shops, and then it starts to rain. There's a lot of traffic, everywhere is jam-packed, and this is breakfast business. Instead of getting there like past 7 in the morning, is getting there like 9 a.m., the sales have dropped. You see what I'm saying? Imagine if I'd promised someone some ROI and say, you know what, by end of the month, I'm giving you X, Y, Z. And there are factors, there are macroeconomic factors that are beyond me. You see what I'm saying? So, and, these macroeconomic factors shape the business in a way you cannot control. You see what I'm saying? So for me, okay, look at the cases of flood that we have now. Imagine some of these farm owners have promised people, I'm going to give you X, Y, Z ROI by the. What do you want them to do? I mean, when you promise an investor you're going to give X, Y, Z, you must give them, whether there's storm, whether it's rain or turbulence, whatever, you have to give them because you promised. But when you give equity, if it works, it works. If it fails, it fails. You're not promising anything, you're just doing the business. And also what that gives you is it gives you the liberty, the rest of mind to run business proper. This ROI thing is just more like you're running in a jungle, but when you take equity, for example, you are building, you are not in a rush to do anything. You're building systemically a business that will last, or when you take a loan, and the good thing about loans is you can always restructure. That's the good thing about financial. You can always restructure. If a loan is not, if it's not convenient for you to pay at this time, you restructure, and then we have loan exposure, so it's not new, So I would say for those who may not have the record, you start with equity. Yeah, give them part of the way with some shares of your.
Wow, you mentioned.
Yeah, but sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Of young people, why they don't want to part with equity. We have this ownership. I want to be the boss. Yeah. So I always own 1% of a $1 billion of $100,000 business. They're two different things. So plus of Microsoft. I mean, he's one of the richest men in the world. 0.1% of Microsoft. The company that is going nowhere. You see what I'm saying? So people share books with people. They just want to be on it by themselves, So they want to share with anybody. They just want to be on top of it as instead of, if you really believe in what you're doing, to part away with some shares and have people coming.
You mentioned one issue about Nigeria. We all just want to own it. Everybody wants to be 100% co-founder. Even co-founder just started adding to our lingo recently. Everybody wants to be Nami Geta, I'm the face of it. On the other side, nobody wants loan. Everybody, almost every religious house is praying against loan. It's a prayer point. Nigerians hate loans, but you just cannot run a business without some form of debt as part of your strategies for raising capital and also expanding your capital base.
But you see what I'm saying? You cannot run a business. In the business school, we're told you had to run a business with a head. These are the two instruments, we have seen mighty business. So they have loan exposure, and then, so you need to, for example, now I supply them, they are paying me 45 days after. They're paying me 45 days after, and then you see what I'm saying? So if I can't do invoice discounting with banks, means I'm financing the businesses of other people for, so these are just basic business principles. You don't need to get religious about.
Well, and also you mentioned on the timeline to get payment, especially when you're supplying big companies. A lot of people don't understand that. Everybody assumes that everybody wants to deal with the big companies as vendors, but nobody tells you about the 60 to 90 days it might take you to get your money back and the likes. And like nobody, and then especially and as a small business, if you're not careful, if you have too many of these big clients, then you run at a liquidity risk, because you don't even have enough money to run day to day. All your money is tied with the big guys, and then they keep telling you procurement rules and all of that. So I haven't discussed the financial part. Let us go into the regulatory part. What are certain regulatory requirements or regulatory steps that agripreneurs are supposed to take in order to be grounded, or in order to be fine as entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so and largely dependent on the part of the value chain you're playing in. You see what I'm saying? So these are the regulatory requirements you must have. If I say, okay, you must have NAFDAC. You see what I'm saying? If you are growing chicken, you don't need NAFDAC for that. What an individual is doing. If an individual is doing NAFDAC, SON, etc., if you are planning, boys down, it's difficult to talk about certification as a whole. Depends on give an indication of what certification they will need to do whatever they want to do.
So the regulatory requirements are quite sector specific, and there is no one size fits all for different sectors. Everybody just needs to understand. I think that's also where internship and starting small come in. These are places where you get real life knowledge of, oh, my boss always mentioned this, so when I'm going to do this, I'm also going to do that. I don't know if you're aware that we have an agribusiness guide. I don't know if you've been able to go through it. What are your thoughts about it?
Not been able to.
Oh, okay. So I'll take it as one of my life duties to send a copy to you, and then we look forward to getting your review on that. Now, Nigeria might be facing a food crisis in the next few months, existing because of the issues that we have, and then compounded by the fact that we now have flood issues in some part of the country that are known to be food baskets. What do you think is the way out to ensure that we do not get plunged into this food crisis as a result of these natural or climate change disasters? I know you're not the president of Nigeria, so just what your thoughts are.
Good question, because I personally think that I think that the real picture of the food situation in Nigeria, particularly those who are not in the sector, of food for many years. For example, where our own factory is located, we have operating in that area. At the moment we are, so they all shut down and they left because of in case of a senior colleague in the industry was kidnapped in the Kitty. It's real. I mean, majority of these cases, like the senior colleague I'm talking about, is not even in the news. Majority of these cases of colleagues in the industry, you don't even find them in the news. You don't find them on dailies. It's become so regular that we don't find them in the news anymore. I think that it's going to be a difficult. We have seen now is I was at some fact finding at the Lagos port, and I was told that, you see what I'm saying, and importation of food items into the country, and that is what we keep seeing. Import dependent. We have to import more and more and more and more to cover up. Getting out of it will be tough. I think first, government needs to invest in security. You see what I'm saying? People need to be able to go back to their farms without fear. People don't farm in the city. You can't grow cassava. You can't grow rice in Ikoyi. You have to go. We need to really make the farm safe. Government needs to invest in security. Is that even the local farmers who stay in the villages, they are now farms. You see what and this is not in the news. That's what I keep telling people, that the sector, and this has been happening for years. And to the point where we are today. So for me, it's quite a rising, and it will keep rising. Government needs to invest in to be safe for people to go and do their business. I also think subsidy, government should give subsidy on food. You see what I'm saying? So, because when you subsidize food, it goes a long way in control crime, etc. For example, if the countries, some Southern African countries I know, if made $50 per, let's say 50 naira per kg, the government subsidizes halfway. Why not give food subsidy? Let food be cheaper for people to buy. When hunger is out of your problem, you have a clear mind. You're able to think clearly. There's a need to switch subsidy pattern to start looking at subsidy on food, key food items. What are so I think that's key. Also, now we need to start looking at real farmers or real practitioners. A friend in the bank yesterday, in a very big bank, they have a case of scandal in court, which has gone to some farmers, and we realize that the money never got to the farmers. Someone along. You see what I'm saying? So, and we have practitioners like I need to sign post-dated check to be able to draw loans. You see what and then you see my cash flow. I'm having 100 every year, and then I still have to bring post-dated check. Meanwhile, you have transactions like this that are going to be going to bad loans. Critical time. You don't need to be political about food. Organizations, practicing agribusinesses with track records. That the good thing about food businesses, you're solving a lot of problems because you're employing your co-workers, you're employing logistics guys, you're employing. So when you invest in an agribusiness, you're not only. You see what I'm saying? So for example, now JR Farms take this at 1 billion naira. I mean, I'm going to employ more people because I need to scale production. Now I'm going to employ a lot of logistics guys also. Market. Middlemen will come in. So along that value chain, you think that the government needs to now identify the real players to work with. Farms is doing coffee shops across Lagos. How much of coffee shops can you do in Lagos? This is the way to solve problems, other than, say. So I think you guys to work with, make the farm safe is very, very important. And
Right. So it's a whole. It's not a compound problem. It's a complex problem to solve, especially when it comes to the problems across the agricultural value chain in Nigeria, and then the government has its own role to play. Not only sector specific agriculture, but also overarching functions like you mentioned, security, access to affordable financing, grants that are specific for agripreneurs. Now, so before we open the floor to questions from our participants and people who are joining across various social media platforms, who I'm sure have been learning incredibly for the past 1 hour. Let's model this. An agripreneur comes to me and says, see, I did my internships. I started small. I've raised finance. I've gotten my regulatory requirements. But Olawale, this thing is hard. I think I'll go back to 9 to 5. Not be me and this thing. What would your advice be for that person?
Yeah, so it's simple. I've always said it, even on my social media. They will be an entrepreneur. To 5, yeah, some of our high level easy. So some people will succeed and really do it well in life. Going to be 9 to 5, please be 9 to 5. Not everybody is going to be a businessman or entrepreneur. Fit into where you don't fit in. Entrepreneurship is tough. Month end comes, you have to pay salaries. You're a lot of things I have to grapple with. Zambia is coming with complaints. Rwanda is coming. Nigeria, daily basis. So if you don't have the mind, whether you just get a 9 to 5, go to work in the morning, come back in the evening. Yeah, life is good. Get your. If you have some money, invest in a business, buy shares. Have a. We'll do entrepreneurship.
I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you. I think there's one thing about agripreneurs. There is a love for that profession. They keep going through the fire. They keep crying at every point, but they keep going back to the farms. And I tell my wife, is there anything I don't see in this business? On Monday, she's like, oh, more, this and this. Wednesday, she's like, okay, let's go back. Let's get new bets. And I'm like, is that a cult in this thing? You people complain on Monday, yet you're back there on Wednesday. I think it's a passion thing. If you don't have the passion and love for it, don't near it, because it would test your every patient's muscle and every persistent muscle that you have in you. Well, I was telling my colleague that if people are going to pay for this session, the secrets that you put, I don't think anybody will be able to afford it. So I must say on behalf of LSETF, thank you very, very much for those insights. Those are things that even business school cannot teach you. These are things that you would only learn after years of internship, years of making mistakes. But these are things that you are out here telling us so people can understand before they make that decision to go into the agribusiness. So we have some questions here that I would like to ask. One is a bit specific to what you do at JR Farms, and that is the fact that this person says you're trying to solve socioeconomic problems. You're trying to create impact. How do you analyze, or how do you ascertain the level of impact that your business has made over the past few years? What mechanism do you use to measure impact of your business?
Yeah, I would assume that every business will have like I had mentioned in this conversation that we have 5 cardinal goals. So for example, to raise the next generation of agrarian leaders. How we're raising the next generation of agri-leaders. This year we have done, and we have had people join these trainings from different African countries. I think over time, we have equipped them with different in agribusiness. So that is like a measurement for the next generation of agrarian leader. This year we have given, we've supported, these are ways we are supporting, is how we are functioning on this goal line. So for someone, set out your goals. These are my goals, or these are the goals. Annually, you go back and look at the indicators and say, okay, on this, the impact, of what you have done. That's the way we measure. We have coffee statistics. We have imported XYZ of coffee. We have reached out to XYZ of, and you see how much of impact the business is having.
Thank you very much. And I think it's in order to measure impact, you need to be clear on your value offerings, because you are measuring your impact against those very clear objectives, those very clear vision and mission statements. If you're not clear about what you want to do, you can't measure whether you've done it or not. And the like. So the next question is, you mentioned that JR Farm started as a family business. And then you've grown this business to a continental one, from just a business from us a business that ensures that school fees is paid and house rent is paid on time. That is not very common with family businesses in Nigeria or in Africa. I make a joke with my friends that I don't know how many of Nigerian family businesses would ever get to the 100 years mark, because there's this documentary on this CNN or BBC where they do the 100 years business mark. How were you able to convert JR Farms? So for anybody who is listening, because some of us have parents who are farmers, and then our headache is, can I continue from where daddy stopped? Are you sure I can take this business to the next level? What is that thing that you must have to be able to convert a family subsistence agribusiness to a commercially viable one?
Yeah, it's simple. There's this saying that for you to sustain family wealth, every generation must be a laborer.
Sorry, you mean, when I hear laborer, what I hear is pong and the cement.
No. Laborer, but I mean, everybody must labor. Each generation. You don't come with the mindset of, oh, my daddy built house here, the that, then. So every generation must be a labor. Actually, for me, starting business was not, blah, 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 so I said, like, the challenges and I really desire to make my mark. When I travel of the continent, I've done some trips, see all these opportunities, and I also see people suffering. And we have foreigners coming to our country from our continent in the same place we complain. This desire, how do we create jobs? How do we sector? The coffee is coming. If you compare the coffee farmer to the coffee drinker, you see what I'm saying? How do we ensure that value is being delivered? So sometimes I tell my family, if it's about this is, if I probably just get a house and live my life. You see, so yeah, so generation must be a laborer. You must. That is really key is families need to document. I see is missing, and that's why generational wealth they die on the founder. Your experiences, your challenges, nothing for your children to hold on to. They just pass on, and then the business children don't even know what the daddy does. And also you need to enlist the children. So pride of parents is to send their children to UK, push money from here and send to them to be surviving in UK, in Canada. Responsibility. Now you have, why should your children, why are they not working in your business? Why are you not enlisting? We have Africa's richest man. His daughter is working in the business. Lead. Imagine his daughter now living with all, you need to raise them, you need to get them involved in what, to get them to your factory, you need to take them to your farm. Let them see what you do. Let them, give them little assignment about. You see, well, for example, I look at Marriott 20s by J.W. Marriott. Today, Marriott has over 8,000 properties across the world. 2 restaurants in Washington, D.C. in 1920s. You see what I'm saying? And today now, it's more like a class. Marriott is an experience. Say, I'm in Marriott. I'm sleeping in Marriott. I'm having lunch in Marriott. Can we have a meeting in Marriott? Like an identity of pride between a couple in Washington, D.C. in 1920s. You see what I'm saying? There's also an hotel. Also in the second generation. So you see all this business because the founders have enlisted the family members. I'm saying you don't on weekends why you go to the farm to work. I mean, it's not.
I quite agree with you that if the children are going to enjoy the fruits of the labor, why don't they participate in the labor themselves? What are your kids doing during the holidays that they cannot come and join you on the farm and feed the chickens? Let them understand where the money is coming from. And a lot of them might even pick that interest in the business from that young age, and they'll be willing to take on the wheel of running that business when it's time or when they are done from school, not just enlisting them as directors when they are done. They have no clue, they have no passion, they have no interest. Now, one of the most common questions I've been getting is, can you do agriculture without doing agriculture? And let me explain. Can you make money from farming without being a farmer? Is it possible not to get your hands dirty and yet call yourself an agripreneur and make enough money from it? Is it possible?
Yeah, in quote. I don't. Yeah, the farm we have in the factory is like demonstration. Now we're planning to plant some vegetables just to share within the staff, and yeah. So you can, of course, if you're a processor, for example, like myself, I don't own like the primary farm. We work with farmers. The funny thing is that some people don't even do it in the supermarkets in Lagos. You see a lot of Gary brands. Ask this. They buy from people like us in rooms in Lagos, and then they package it and then seal it with some supermarket. The funny thing is they make more money than the producers. Or they are different, and that's the good thing about agriculture. It's a chain. So just look for the part of the chain you can connect yourself, and then you fit in there. So you can do agriculture, you can do farming without getting your hands dirty. That one is.
Okay, so let me just go into the fact about the money. I know I had an experience with a young man that used to make my shoes some years ago, and he makes shoes, and then I just get a call from the island. He takes those shoes from him, puts his label on the shoes, and goes to sell it. What the cobbler knows is he sells this shoe for him at 8,000 naira. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. So he went out one day and saw that shoe. I was like, you know, when you see your product, you know your product. So, this is my shoe. And then the other guy, I like your shoe. How much do you buy it? And the guy said 15,000. You know, the couple wanted to cry when he was telling me. He was like, Hakeem, wait. I do all the work. I saw for 8,000. This guy just puts his logo, puts it in a box, and does 15,000. So
But
for
that's
people like
value addition.
For people like you who are a bit a bit down in the value chain, do you get affected by things like this? Like, this guy is driving G-Wagon and he's just adding nylon and the logo. I'm doing all the work and I'm like, wow. Do you sometimes feel like?
Yeah, for me, I don't feel anyhow about it. We run a factory. I'm saying. The good thing also is that factory operator, so you can press it anyhow. I feel that someone coming, you know, to I can change price, you know, but capacity. At factory level, you want to do it, do. So with our coffee chain, you know, to the end point, we can buy coffee at, you know, time. We'll also, for example, Gary operation, where people can pick up and retail points, you know, in quote. I've seen during COVID, we did that. Access to Gary at affordable price. The thing we have seen is that the middleman, this middle, our plan will reduce this and ensure that people looked at an affordable price. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And let's go to, there's this very practical question. And it says, in the agribusiness, what can 1 million naira do? What can you start with 1 million naira? I'm assuming this person has won a giveaway of 1 million naira. You can give me out of it. But if he wants to do this agribusiness, how far can it take Imoa?
Yeah, 1 million. Yeah. Saying now repackaging, who buy beans and they repackage, buy 2 bags of rice and repackage. Give an example of someone distributing. You can buy like ton of chicken is up to 50,000. Of 1 million, you can start buy 2 packs of chicken, 200 naira or 300 naira markup. Buy beans and repackage it. People, you can look for supply of chicken, supply of that. Like low income businesses you can start without necessarily also do that anyway.
I want to think of like agribusiness that no matter how big the money is, agribusiness can swallow all your money and you'll be looking for where it went to. Especially if you want to go into especially when you want to go into some mechanized and some very large equipment driven businesses. Well, we're getting to the very end of this of this session. And I'll just take the remaining few minutes after thanking you to let people know about what we do at LSETF. But I must say a very, very big thank you for sharing this insights, because you've not only told us your story, you've also x-rayed every part of your journey and every part of the process of being an agripreneur. Please, if you have more questions, please let me see them now before I allow Mr. Olawale of JR Farms to go. Okay, I think one question just came in now. Please let me ask it. It says, what type of environment is conducive for poultry farming since we are facing a global climate crisis?
I'm not a poultry. It's quite wide. I don't know So agribusiness is wide. You can't know everything. So yeah, I don't know about the environment. Of course, I think you can read online or maybe connect with industry practitioners in poultry to advise.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So I think on this note, I would on behalf of LSETF, on behalf of the hundreds of people who have tuned in online or are on this platform, thank you very much for being very vulnerable with us. Thank you very much for taking us through every part of the value chain. Thank you for taking out time to educate us on being an agripreneur, the beautiful sides, the ugly sides, the challenging sides, and also the part that sometimes you can make lots of money from it, but you must be ready to face the risk. On behalf of LSETF and a lot of Lagos residents who have been impacted today, I say thank you very much, and I wish you the very best, especially in the coffee business. No worry, one day very soon I'll visit one of your coffee shops and have a very nice cup of espresso. So thank you very, very much. If you have anything to say, I can hand over to you. If not, I can talk about what LSETF does to our participants.
Thank you so much, and to all the participants, I also say a big thank you. God bless and enjoy the rest of the day.
Okay, thank you very much. And to our participants, do not forget that LSETF still remains LSETF, and what we do is about four to five major things. One is, like you mentioned, you can raise capital either via debt or equity. So if you're going to raise capital via debt, you can approach LSETF to apply for our loans. These loans go for as low as 9% interest annually. This is an interest rate that you might most likely get at monthly rates with other loan or other financial institutions. And then you can, the second thing we do is for people who do not want to go into the entrepreneurial, but also want to own their skills in various professions such as confectionaries, tailoring, in the beauty sector, in construction. We organize trainings periodically at various parts of Lagos. And the best thing about this training is that you get the opportunity of an internship placement, which puts you in the real life scenario of working, and at the end of the day, the best of the best then get opportunities to get startup tools to go on their own and become their own employers of labor. The third thing that we do is, for those of us who are tech bros and tech sales, who have ideas that can change the world, ideas that can solve our problems, how to sustainably, you can pitch these ideas to us. And we give you access to workspaces via our workspace voucher program, where you can go in there and enjoy free internet and free electricity to build that product, connect with fellow tech founders, and also be mentored by seasoned administrators and seasoned founders. The last thing that we do is also this series of masterclasses and webinars. The team behind this have been very wonderful, and what they do every year is to ensure that a curriculum is built to train people and also to educate them on how to run a business, how to start a business, and how to excel in everything that they do. Do not forget to follow our various social media platforms at LSETF on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. And then you can visit our liaison offices across the various local governments, or you can also call us for further inquiries on 01-7000-969. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hakeem Onasanya, and it's been a very, very pleasurable session with you. Thank you very much, and see you at the next masterclass or webinar session.